class stage 1.
Uh, can I request faculty to check whether my audio is audible or not, like my screen is visible or not? Please confirm in the Telegram so that we can start the session. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Sai Baba, sir. Thank you. So we'll just wait for 2 to 3 minutes. I request all faculty belongs to cluster 1. Please share this link to students, and instead of that, please project this link using your laptop to the projector so that they can watch the live through projector. Otherwise, you can directly share with the students also. If they got any problem during the class, they can either way go back in the same live, right? Please complete the attendance, and can I just quickly get a response from other faculty also, the confirmation message from other faculty from remaining rooms so that we can start the session. I just got a message reply from Cyber sir. I need reply from remaining faculty also. An Anju ma'am, KVG Naidu sir, Tulsi ma'am, Surya ma'am, Arun sir, Amaraya sir, Mahindran sir. Can you just give a reply in the group so that we can start? $10 are over. Let's me wait for 1 more minute. Thank you so much for the cyber sir. Yeah. So 10 minutes are over. We will just start the session in next 1 minute. So as we discussed the first 10 minutes for all the attendance, everything and all, so that 1:55 around 2 o'clock we'll start the session. I I request remaining faculty also please send a message in the group. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for reply, ma'am. Supriya, ma'am. Please send the link to students directly so that they can hear using their headphones and all. Can I get a response from other faculty also? There are nearly 10 faculty in this group. I just got a reply from 2 faculty. We are on live. Right. So from this week onwards, we are going to start CO2, which is Spring Framework. Before that, let me just revise the concepts we have in CO1. So the CO1 concepts is all about Marvin and Hibernate. So the first part will be introduction to build tool or build automation tool. And next one is what is Marvin and why Marvin. Right. And the second one, the next third one will be Marvin build life cycle, phases and goals. Next one, Marvin repositories. There are three types of repository: local, central, remote. The next one is Marvin architecture, Marvin archetypes, Marvin archetypes. So these are the important concepts we have in CO1 as part of Marvin. So the second part of CO1 is Hibernate. Hibernate. In Hibernate, we learned what is ORM and JPA and introduction to Hibernate. Hibernate. The next one is what is ORM, JPA, and introduction to Hibernate. ORM is nothing but object relational mapping. JPA is nothing but Java Persistence API. So the extension of JPA is nothing but Hibernate. The next part here is Hibernate architecture. And then Hibernate core components. Then up to core components, it's a theory part. Next, the first demonstration is Hibernate CRUD operations. CRUD operations using persistent object. Persistence, nothing but permanent. Then HQL, Hibernate, query language. In HQL, we have complete object or entity. Second one is partial object or entity. Third one, aggregate functions, count, sum, min, max, average. And the fourth one is positional parameters. Fifth one is named parameters. These are the different concepts we have in HQL. The next one is HCQL, Hibernate, criteria, query language. The first one is different criterias. Criteria is also called as restrictions. Second one is after criteria we discussed the second one is order demo, ascending order, descending order. Third one is aggregate functions. Again, count, sum, min, max, average. Fourth one is combination. That means we can use order demo with criteria. That is a combination. Under different criteria, we have seen equals condition, not equals, next less than, greater than, less than, greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to, between, in, under slash or, under slash or, under slash or. And after HCQL, the next concept will be hibernate inheritance mapping. You already know inheritance is nothing but acquiring the properties from one class to other class. There are totally three strategies we have. The first one is single table strategy. The second one is strategy. Second one is table per class called as unions. Next one is table per joint table strategy. Right. And the last concept is generator classes. Generator classes is used to assign the ID automatically. There are three types: identity, auto, sequence. So these are the different concepts we have in CO1. I'm just repeating again. CO1 consisting of two parts, Maven and Hibernate. Maven consists of build tool, build automation tool, why Maven and what is Maven, life cycle, phases and goals. Maven repositories, there are totally three: local, central, remote, and Maven archetypes. Maven archetypes are two. One is quick start, next one is web app. Hibernate framework contains, first, what is ORM exactly? ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. JPA, Java Persistence API. Hibernate is nothing but extension of JPA. Hibernate architecture, core components. What are the core components we have? Configuration, session factory, session, transaction, query, criteria. Then first demo will be CRUD operations using first tense object, HQL, HQL operations, query. We are going to write queries. HCQL, we need to apply only criteria. And next one is hybrid inheritance mapping, single table strategy, table per class, joint table strategy. And last concept is generator classes, identity, auto, sequence. Now, I'll be just showing the course book also again, which is I think I've already shared this course book. In this also, we just mentioned the session plan clearly regarding CO1. COI session plan, this I've already shared in the group and shared with the students through mail also. So if you see the concepts here, software installation, introduction to build tool, dependencies, ORM, inheritance mapping. So these are the CO1 part. So CO1 is all about Maven and the Hibernate JPA. Maven and the Hibernate JPA. Now, let us all start CO2. CO2, we are going to start, I'm going to start from scratch, which is Spring Framework. If any section doesn't complete CO1, please complete in the practical session on Saturday. So ensure that you are ready for the CO2. That's why we are going to start CO2 from scratch. So let me begin CO2 now. So these are the concepts. I'll share this notepad also if you want, right, in the Google Drive. So let me start CO2 from scratch. CO2 is all about Spring Framework. I'll wait for 2 minutes. I'll start Spring Framework. Perfect. So let's begin CO2. Right. CO2, Spring Framework. I define framework something like which contains some boundaries and limits. So every framework contains some boundaries and limits. Whatever the framework which is developed in Java or Python, any framework which contains some set of libraries and the packages. So we have to use them in that framework only. Otherwise, we can integrate with other frameworks also. As part of Spring Framework, what we are going to cover is first module is Spring Core module, which contains dependency injection and inversion of control. That is the first module I'm going to cover as part of Spring Framework. Second module is I'm going to cover is Spring Web MVC. MVC is nothing but model view controller, which is going to use web applications. Third module we are going to cover is Spring ORM. ORM means we are going to cover Hibernate. Actually, there are two modules with JDBC with Hibernate, but JDBC is not part of the syllabus. We are directly going to cover thread operations because we have been using ORM only. Spring is let you know there are some disadvantages of Spring we have. That's why we are going to show what disadvantage exactly we have in Spring Web so that we can overcome in the CO3 Spring Boot. So for that purpose, we are demonstrating this what we call Spring framework. And fourth one, the last one is Spring AOP. AOP stands for Aspect Oriented Programming. This is part of CO5 syllabus. This is for advanced students, not for regular students, but still this will be covered for all students. But we included in the CO5, that is for advanced syllabus. So there are nearly 8 to 10 modules we have in Spring Framework, but as part of the syllabus, we are going to cover 4 main modules. Core, Web, ORM, AOP. AOP is a current trending contemporary module in Spring. Most of the techie companies are using this AOP module. That's why we included this one in the current JFSD syllabus. So these are the 4 modules we are going to cover as part of CO2, right? CO2 syllabus is less. Right. Um, right then. So these are the 4 modules we are just going to cover. Let me just stop sharing and share again. 1 second. Right. Right. Perfect. So these are the 4 modules we have: Spring Core module, Spring WebMVC, Spring ORM, and the Spring AOP. So these are the 4 things, right? So let's begin with the Spring Core module. Before that, I'm just going to give you overview of Spring framework. What exactly Spring Frameworks is? First one is it's an open source framework, and which is lightweight. And the Spring Frameworks was developed by Rod Johnson. He's the who developed. Rod Johnson developed this Spring framework. He's a scientist or developer. Later, there are many updates also we have. And third one is Spring. Spring contains modules. Basically, Spring contains several modules. So Spring can be developed with either one module or combination of several modules. Combination of several modules. Right. So that means what Spring can be multiple modules. For example, if I just want to develop only with core module, you can go ahead with core module. If you want to go with MVC, go with only MVC. Otherwise, you can combine core with ORM, core with WebMVC, WebMVC with ORM. Why we call it at WebMVC in the sense we need to develop the web application. Otherwise, you can in short call it as MVC also, because MVC is something but to develop web applications. Right. First one is open source and lightweight. Next one is Rod Johnson developed the Spring framework. Spring contains several modules, so it can be developed with either one module or several modules. And the fourth point is Spring is also called as framework of frameworks. Framework of frameworks. So why it is Spring? Spring is also called as framework of frameworks. That means Spring can be integrated with several frameworks. Spring can be integrated with several frameworks. Let me just once again stop sharing and share it again. One second, guys. Right. Right. So for me, it is showing fine. Like I'll just depend on my right. Now CO2, I'm just showing the screen again. I just typed, there are 4 modules again. I'm just repeating again. There are many modules in Spring architecture. We are going to cover 4 modules. First one is core, next one is MVC, next one is ORM, next one is AOP. And first point in Spring is open source and lightweight. It was developed by Rod Johnson. It contains several modules. It may be implemented with one module or combination of several modules. Spring is also called as framework of frameworks. That means Spring can be integrated with several frameworks. So what are the frameworks we have? We can integrate with JSP, we can integrate with EJB, or we can integrate with Hibernate, etc. So Spring, JSP, EJB. Sir, a screen is visible. The problem will be maybe due to internet connection. In those sections, it is not yet visible. I am just checking in my end also. So if it is visible in my end like this, that means it has to visible for other students also. It may be due to internet connection. Yeah. Spring is also called as framework of frameworks. Spring can be integrated with several frameworks. So it can be integrated with JSP or EJB or Hibernate, etc. Now, so very important thing, we are just going to start a new concept called as Spring core modules. So first module. So this is the introduction of Spring. Before going to start Spring core module, I just want to highlight one point. That is the fifth point in a Spring framework. Spring follows loosely coupled architecture. Loosely coupled architecture. So what is this loosely coupled architecture? First of all, let me talk about how many types of architectures we have. So there are two types of architectures. Two types of architectures. The first one is tightly coupled, and the second one is loosely coupled. What is tightly coupled? Tightly coupled in the sense, for example, if you take any application, whether it may be web application or console application, any application which contains some set of components, we call it as modules, right? So for example, if I make any change in one particular component, for example, then if this change is going to affect the other component also, this change is going to affect other components also, then it is called as coupled, loosely coupled. So application can be developed in application can be developed in several modules or components. For example, if there are 5 components, if any developer want to change some code in one component, if to affect more effect, for example, if there is a more effect on other components also, that means tightly coupled. That means that application is developed in the tightly coupled manner. Let me just talk about loosely coupled. So same thing, loosely coupled. What is loosely coupled? If the application contains components or set of modules, if I make any change in one particular component, if this change is not going to affect the other components, then it is called as what? Loosely coupled. So this is tightly coupled and this is loosely coupled, right? So which one is the best one? Of course, I can say loosely coupled. Why? Because all components are independent of each other. All components are independent of each other. All components are independent of each other. That's why I can say loosely coupled contains some more advantages when compared to tight coupling, because the problem will be if in future, if I have any modification and all, if I want to change in one particular component, that code may affect other components also. If I make my application flexible and loosely coupled, so that I no need to bother about the other components. Whenever I just want to change, I'll change in the specific component only. That will not affect the other components much. That is called as loosely coupled. Right then. So as of now, what we discussed totals all CO1 concepts, and we started CO2, which is Spring framework. So what exactly Spring? Spring is it's a framework basically. It contains several modules. We can develop both console applications. You can develop web applications. You can develop ORM based applications like object oriented applications. So there are multiple ways we have. So next, coming to overview, it is an open source and light framework. Lightweight framework. Lightweight means what? Less code. I can say less code. Open source means what? Free. And who developed this? Rod Johnson. And it contains several modules. You can develop with only one module, or you can integrate with several modules. And Spring is also called as framework of frameworks. Spring can be integrated with JSP, EJB, Hibernate. Many other frameworks also can be included in the Spring framework. And which type of architecture we are following for Spring? Loosely coupled. There are two types of architecture: tightly coupled and loosely coupled. Next, let's start Spring core module. First one. So what are the concepts we have in Spring core module? So dependency injection and IOC. Dependency injection and inversion of control. So one note point here, Spring core module can be implemented features can be implemented by using dependency injection and IOC. That means without these two features, there is no Spring Core module. Okay, so these are the two concepts we need to know as part of Spring Core module. So see, there is a flow only. So there are totally 4 modules we are going to cover. First 3 are part of CO2 and the AOP module is part of CO5. I started with my introduction of Spring. I discussed important points like framework of frameworks, everything and all. And finally, if I can give you what is Spring exactly, Spring is open source and lightweight. It is a framework of frameworks and it follows which architecture? Loosely coupled. What is loosely coupled? If I make any change in one component, that will not affect the other components. That means independent of each other. Independent of each other. Loosely coupled. 2 concepts we need to know. In short, the dependency injection is called as DI. Injection of control is called as IOC. IOC. Perfect. So what is dependency injection? Let's start with the definition, dependency injection. Dependency injection, DI. So what is dependency injection? Dependency injection means generally you already know if I want to create a new object, if you want to create any object, for example, any object based on, if I just want to create any object based on, just give me 1 minute. I'm just connecting the charger. Right. If I want to create any object based on a particular Java class, let me take Java class as employee.java. For example purpose I'm taking. I started my introduction with Spring overview. Then I started Spring Core module, first module in the CO2. There are 2 concepts we need to know as part of this dependency injection. Not talking about dependency injection, I'm just giving you one example. If I want to create any object, if I just want to create any object, one second, sir. Let me just start sharing again. I'm just checking everything. Okay. 1 second. Right. Spring Core module can be implemented. I just stopped this sharing and I'm just sharing again. Just wait for 2 to 3 minutes. There will be a delay in live and WebEx. Right. So I'm just showing this notepad again. Either way, audio is audible. Let me just showing you notepad again. From CO2 onwards, I'm showing you again. Otherwise, I'll share this notepad, no problem. So I started CO2, Spring Core module, MVC, ORM, AOP, overview like this. These are the 5 points which I typed in the notepad. Next, 2 types of architecture, tightly coupled and loosely coupled. Which one is best? Loosely coupled, of course. Spring core model. Spring core model can be implemented by using dependency injection and IOC control. So let us now start about what is dependency injection. If I want to create any object, if I just want to create any object on a particular Java class, employee.java. So what exactly you're going to create? Employee emp is equal to new employee of. This is the object type. But now we are not going to create object by using a new keyword like above. Instead, we are going to transfer. We are going to transfer this task. What is the task? Creation of object. We are going to transfer creating object to someone else. That means who is going to create the object? From third party member. You're going to third party, for example. Let me just take application and the second one is what we call the developer. So now the developer is not going to, in the code we are not going to create the object. So someone else is going to create the object. Screen freeze and చెప్తారండి. Sir, I just repeat again, faculty who are telling the screen is freezed, please refresh the YouTube link. See, I'm just refresh my YouTube link. It is just clearly visible. So you just repeatedly refresh this link. It is just due to internet connection only, right? Because this is a live screen. The live is clearly there, and here also, I'm checking in my end also. The screen is visible. I'm just continuing, right then. We are not going to create object by using a new keyword like above. Above in the sense like this line, employee emp is equal to new employee of. Instead, we are going to transfer the task of creating object to someone else. So how that someone else is going, what exactly we are going to inject. So we are going to inject what? We are injecting data into the application. We are injecting the data into the application. We are going to inject the data into the application from outside. Outside means how many types we have? 2 types. First one is XML. Through XML we can inject, or through annotations also we can implement. So instead of creating object in the code by using employee is equal to new employee of, we are now going to inject the data from outside. So who is going to inject the data? Either XML or annotations. So as part of a CO2, I'm going to show you how to inject the data using XML, right? XML. We are going to cover annotations in the Spring Boot part. Okay. So now you got my point. So what is the dependency injection? Transferring the task of creating the object From outside is called as dependency injection. From outside is called as dependency injection. Dependency injection. Dependency injection. So how many ways we have? Two ways, XML and annotation. Sir, okay, I got your point that we no need to create object in the what we call Java class or main method. Someone else is going to inject the data. That means objects. How many types? Two types, XML and annotation. Sir, how we are going to put the data in the XML? That is the point. There are three ways again. There are three types of dependency injection. In dependency injection, there are three types. I'm just writing DIs. The first one is setter dependency injection. Second one is constructor dependency injection. And the last one is interface dependency injection. So what I'm telling as of now, we started Spring Core module. There are two important concepts we have: dependency injection and IOC. I didn't start IOC as of now. I started only, I'm only talking about DI only. So what is DI? DI is nothing but dependency injection. Instead of creating new object in the code, we are going to inject the data from outside. From outside means either through XML file or through some annotations using Java class. Okay, so how many types of DIs we have? Three types. Setter DI. Setter DI is nothing but we are going to generate setter methods. So now here we are going to generate constructor method. And now in the interface, we are going to create interface with the implementation. With another class, interface and class with implementation. So as part of the syllabus, we are going to cover setter DI and constructor DI. Interface DI, either way you're going to, interface DI is something like, let me just take example, employee service implementation, IMPL, that is called as interface DI. Either way you're going to know in your project. It is a daily, you have been using this in your enterprise programming and the, what we call, in your CO3 also you're going to get. So setter DI and constructor DI is very important. Setter methods and constructor methods. So let me just repeat again what I just thought as of now. CO2. CO2 we started, I talked about four important modules: core, MVC, ORM, AOP. And I've given you overview. What exactly Spring is? Spring is an open source and lightweight, which was developed by Rod Johnson. And it contains several modules. The Spring contains several modules. If you want, you can implement with one module or you can implement with multiple modules. Spring is also called as framework of frameworks. It can be integrated with other frameworks like JSP, Enterprise Java Bean, Hibernate, etc. Hibernate means what? ORM. Or you can implement with JDBC also if you want. JDBC. Right. JDBC. Spring follows loosely coupled. So what is loosely coupled? There are two types: tightly coupled and loosely coupled. Tightly coupled in the sense, if I make any change in the one component, that will not affect the other components. That will not affect the other components is called as loosely coupled. That will affect the other components is called as tightly coupled. So which one is best? Loosely coupled. So loosely coupled is contains advantages. And Spring Core module. Spring Core module can be implemented by using two features: dependency injection and inversion of control. So what is dependency injection? If I want to create any object, people will say employee is equal to new employer. But now we are not going to create like that. Now we are not going to create object like that. We are just going to create object by someone else. Who is going to create the someone else is either through XML or through annotations. Either through XML or through annotations. So sir, I got your point that instead of creating object in the class, we are going to from outside. Outside means what? Either XML or annotations. How many types of dependency injections we have? Totally three types: setter DI, constructor DI, and interface DI. Right. So as of now, what we exactly came to know is we started discussing about Spring Core modules. There are two important topics: dependency injection and IOC. Dependency injection means injecting the data from outside. There are two ways: XML and annotation. How to provide the data? That is three ways: setter DI, constructor DI. You can set the data by using setter methods, You can set the data by using constructor. Constructor means the method name is save as class name. Third one is interface DI. So these are the three ways. Now what we are going to do is like, let us all going to create a new project. After that, so now the task is, let us all going to create a new Maven project. New Maven project. So that, so if you are ready with the new Maven project, so we can just discuss. I mean, you can create this Maven project later also, but please understand the steps properly because we have a next class on Friday. So that by Friday class, please complete this project creation. I'll complete the setter DI and constructor DI. So meanwhile, I had a talk about CO1 topics, CO2 introduction, and then followed by what we call independence injection definition and the types. IOC will be discussed once I created the project. I can't just give you a total theory part directly because one by one we'll slowly learn. First, we know what is dependence injection, transferring the task of creating object from outside, XML or annotations. So let us all create the new Maven project, right? So let me open my Eclipse. Right. I'll wait for 1 to 2 minutes. So meanwhile, please let me open MySQL. I mean, what we call, sorry, Eclipse. I opened in my JFSD workspace. So I'll create, I'm not going to demonstrate the complete Spring Core project today because we need to create, you guys need to be ready with your project also. Once the project is created, you don't need any internet connection. Internet connection only we need only when you create the project only, okay? So the previous project is a Hibernate project. I already discussed all the parts and all. So Hibernate cloud operations, HQL, HCQL, generator class and inheritance mapping. Now we are going to start second project. So how to create that? So let me wait for 2 minutes, 2 minutes so that you guys can be ready with your Eclipse so that I'll start showing how to create second project, which is a Spring Core project. Spring Core project. Wait for 2 minutes. I'll wait for 2 minutes. Two 40 will start creating the project. Right, 240. I'm ready with Eclipse. Right. I'm ready with Eclipse. So no problem if you got any issues. I know surely faculty or students will post a message stating that students are getting errors in creating Maven project. I know that students surely get errors while creating Maven project. So I'm just showing for the recording purpose. So once they go home, they can create at their home, and please be ready by the next class on Friday. Right, so that I'll start the demonstration on Friday. So today I'll create project and I'll create all the required files and all. Right. Right. So I'm ready with the Marvin. I didn't start creating my project. I'm just waiting for 1 or 2 minutes. Right. 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 So I'm ready with the Marvin ID. Right. So let me just create a new project. Go to new Marvin project. So ensure that this create a simple project should be unchecked and use default location should be empty because we are going to create we are now going to create a project in we are just now going to create a project in JFSD workspace. Click on next. Now here, Spring Core module is like a quick start. So we need to take Maven hyphen architect hyphen quick start. Let me write all the points again. Quick start. Next part. Now 1.4. Some people will have 1.4. Some people will have it show 1.1 also or 1.0. Anything is okay. No need to confuse or no need to bother about it. So Marvin hyphen quick start. Quick start is for console applications. Next. Now group ID. com dot klf dot jfsd. Group ID com dot klf. This is a base package. Company domain name is your base package. Artifact ID. Artifact ID is nothing but application name. Spring S capital, core C capital, project application name or project name. Spring core project. Now the by default package will be group ID dot artifact ID com dot klf dot jfsd dot spring core project. Very important point. This option should be unchecked. If you don't uncheck the problem, there is no problem. Even if you check also no problem. The only problem is like you need to type, you need to give the confirmation in the console in order to create the project. So ensure that this is unchecked. If you by mistakenly check this option, if you click on finish, in the console, it will ask all the details and it will ask your confirmation whether you need to type yes or no. If you type yes only, the project will be created. Okay. So click on finish. So the project is getting created. I know this needs internet connection. You guys can create afterwards, or you can at least try with your mobile data, or you create once you go home, right? That's why I'm just giving a time for the next class. I'm not showing a directly demonstration in today's class itself because you guys also needs. Right. You guys also have to create the project. That's why I'm just uh, I'll demonstrate in the next class, but I'll create the project along with the files also. Right. So the project is getting created. I stop the screen sharing. I'm sharing again. Right. I stop the screen sharing. It will be visible in next 1 or 2 minutes. Please wait. My project is getting created. Right. The screen is visible. So let me highlight the points. My project is created just now. That's why I just stopped and share it again to change the internet connection. So the Marvin artifact quickstat, group ID is com.klf.jfsd, artifact ID is Spring Core project. Super. So let me just let me just go to pom.xml. So in the pom.xml, my my important advice is I want everyone to enable autosave window, go to preferences and type and go to general, editor, autosave. So and this will be disabled. Please enable and give 1 second here. 1 second. Apply, apply, close. Right. The next option, come down, change this 1.7 to 1.8 and this 1.7 also to 1.8. Save the file. Save the file. Source target. Come down. There is already JNE dependency here. We just need to add some more dependencies. Right. So we need to get all the dependencies from the MVN repository. You already know that. So we just need to open pom.xml, change 1.7 to 1.8, and we need to enable autosave. Go to window, preferences, autosave, give 1 second. We already have JUnit dependency. Let me just include the remaining dependencies. So you just need to go to MVN repository, MVN repository. Go to MVN repository and type Spring context. I repeat once again, dependency name is what? Spring context. Spring context. Spring context. Spring context. So go to MVN repository, type Spring context. The first one, Spring context. Come down. Some people are using 6.1.12 and some people are using 6.1.11 also. But what I'm going to do is like, in order to, I'm just keeping all the Java versions in my mind. So let me take the last version of 5, which is 5.3.39. 5.3.39. So copy it, 5.3.39. So Control V. Spring context 5.3.39 is ready. Second dependency. I mean, only one dependency is enough. 5.3.39. You guys can take the latest version also, but the latest version, the problem will be you need to change 1.8 to 21. 5.3.39, which is the latest version of Spring 5. I mean, latest version in Spring 5 is 5.3.39, but the latest version of Spring is 6. 6 we are using now. Okay. So my suggestion is go with 5.3.39. So I'm writing here. So in form.xml, include the dependencies. So what is that? Spring context. Spring context dependency we need to take 5.3.39. Right. Now, after including the dependencies, you need to right click on the project. Right click on the project, go to Maven, click on update project. Update project. And we just need to click on force update. We just need to click on force update. Force update. Click on OK. So once the Maven is updated, so how to update the Maven? Right click on it, update the Maven project. So we need to change 1.7 to, I'm just repeating this step again. We need to change 1.7 to 1.8. And the next step we need to follow is Spring Framework. So please take the dependency from, we just need to type MVN repository, type Spring context, type Spring context. Can I just a confirmation in the group by the faculty? Is my screen visible? Like I'm just showing MVN repository page. I just stopped and shared the screen again. Let's just wait for 1 minute and then we'll see the live. Then I'll continue. Right, I just take the I I take the MVN repository Spring Context 5. Let's go ahead. Perfect. It is all right now. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So Pomod XML is done. The next one is go to src/main/java and please create a new package. The package name is sorry sector DI. Create a new package called as sector DI. Sector DI. Click on finish. create a new package called a setter.di. We created. Right click on setter.di, go to new, choose Java class. The class name is employee, E capital. So I'm just creating one a Java class. So Java class. I'm just creating one a text file just for entering the theory part purpose. I'm just creating one text file. So setter.di is a package name and class name is employee. Now I want to highlight one point that we are going to use primitive and non-primitive data types. So what is primitive and non-primitive? Primitive data types are nothing but primary data types, which are integer, short, float, long, double, byte, boolean. These are the different primitive data types we have. Next to non-primitive, we call it as secondary data types or derived. First one is class, interface. Third one is class interface. Third one is string. Next one is collection. Collection means we have list, class interface object, string, collection, list map, set. So now throughout this dependency injection, setter.di and constructor.di, I'm going to either use primitive data types or non-primitive. Okay. So primitive or non-primitive. Primitive means integer, short, float, long, double, byte. And the non-primitive means class, interface, object, string, collection, etc. So let's start taking the files. Private, int ID, private, string name, private, private string gender, private double, private double salary. Next, private boolean M status. M status is nothing but marital status. Next, now we can take location also as string. Private float age. Float means like if I say 35.5, 35 years, 5 months, like that. So this is primitive. This is also primitive. 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 This is non-primitive. This is also non-primitive. This is also non-primitive. So these are the 7 properties I've taken. Let me add new one. Collection. Private. List. String. Let me take employee contains, for example, departments. Departments I'm going to take. Departments. Or skills, for example. Skills. Right. So this is non-primitive. Non-primitive. So these are the properties we take. Now I told one point, right? We are going to start which dependency injection? Setter dependency injection. So for the setter dependency injection, what we need to do? We need to generate setter and getter methods. Getter methods and setter methods. select all the properties, right click on this, source, generate setter and getter methods, select all, last member, generate. And I want you to create toString method also for the future purposes. I'll tell you why we need to create toString method later, but now you just be ready with that. Source, toString method. So let us all create after skills, right? So all the properties are done, toString method is done, and getter and setter method. So why we created setter and getter methods? Because we are using setter DI. That's why we need to create setter methods. Getter methods to print the property values. So the first file is created, employee.java. That is done. Now the second file. So go to SRC, go to main, under main, create a new folder called as resources. So src/main/resources will be created. Okay. All the XML files must be stored in resources folders. You already know in your Hibernate also. This step is already done in your CO1 also. Now, right click on resources, go to new, create a new XML file. The XML file is, let's type XML file. Type XML file. So the XML file name is application context C capital. So I already told that we are going to inject the data through XML file. So why we are giving this name only, I'll tell you in the next class, in the inversion of control concept. So just create, be ready with that. Application context. Right. So first file is employee.java and second one is XML file. XML file. So these are the steps I've just done as of now. I'm putting everything into a notepad file. So setter.di is a package name. Then I created a class name called employee. Now I had a talk regarding primitive and non-primitive data types. The first one is primitive. Primitive is nothing but primary, integer, short, float, long, double, byte, boolean. And next one is non-primitive. First one is class. First one is class. Next one is interface. Next one is object. Next one is string. Next one is collection. Collection. So now as of now, we created two files. First file is employee.java. Second file is application context.xml file. Because I told injection will be done through XML file. So which folder? Resources folder. Resources folder. Resources folder. Resources folder. Now the next part. You just go to Google, type Spring XML. Type Spring XML. Go to first link. Either you take this or you take this. Okay. Let me take the second. You copy directly from the Google. You no need to by heart or you no need to depend on others. Remove everything. Control V. Okay. Now here we need to include the beans. So what is beans? That is my concept here. Beans. Bean is nothing but reusable component. And bean is nothing but managed object. So what is bean? Bean is nothing but a reusable component or managed object. It contains property values or constructor arguments. So beans will be managed by Spring IOC container. So now let me start the topic of IOC, inversion of control. Spring IOC container is also called as Spring container. Okay. So let's talk about what is Spring IOC container or Spring container, inversion of control. IOC means inversion of control. What is IOC? It is used to manage the life cycle of the objects. That means you can create object, you can configure object, you can wire the object, create, configure, wire, and manage the objects. Create means creating objects. Configure means providing data. What is wire? Wire is nothing but communication between multiple objects. One object can be communicated with multiple objects. So let me repeat again. Beans means reusable component. Bean ante enti, it's a managed. Bean means managed object. It contains property values or constructor arguments. Bean will be managed by whom? Spring IOC container or Spring container. IOC means inversion of control. Here, the concept behind dependency injection is IOC. That means without IOC, we can't implement DI. We are ready with the setter DI and all, but how to implement, I need to create that object at runtime, right? The concept here is IOC. So what is IOC exactly? It is used to manage the life cycle of the object. So with this, I can conclude one point. The point is managed objects are called as beans, and beans will be managed by whom? Spring IOC container. So there are two types of IOC containers. The first one is bean factory. Second one is application context. That's why I created application context file. Bean factory and application context. Now, so this is the root tag is what? Beans. Now sub tag will be, let's take a bean tag, control space, bean tag. Why, sir, why you are giving this from the net? If I don't give this, the problem will be, you will not get any suggestions. So that's why we take a template. The template is springframework.org, springbeans.xst, XML schema document. So control space, bean. So first, we need to provide the properties. What is the first property? ID. So take control space, property tag. Like this, totally how many we have? 8. So let's copy 8. First one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, 6, 7, 8. 8 properties. I already told that Spring data will be given by properties. So here I mentioned one point. It contains property values. So bean contains property values. So first one is ID. Next one is what? Name. Next one is what? Gender. Gender, salary. Next one is M status. Location. age. Last one, skills. Skills is a collection. You provide the value by using value attribute. Guys, I'm just telling you one point that if it is integer or number or whatever it is, put every value in the double quotes only. Let me take first one, ID. Name, Surya. Gender, male. Salary, it's a double, right? So you can mention something around 45,000, example, 45,000.50. M status, true or false. Let me take false. Location, Vizag. Age, let's just mention like around 30.5, for example. That means 30 years, 5 months, for example. Now coming to skills. Skill is a collection value. So you can't provide the value directly here. Space, control space, apply list tag and give value tag. If you want to provide three skills, provide 3 values. First skill is technically this employee skill. He know marketing skills, for example, and he know management skills, for example. So 3 values. So this is how we need to define the thing. I told one thing now, we are going to create object from outside. Outside means what? XML. I created an object in the XML. Now my definition is justified now. Object is nothing but bean here. It is not just an object, it is managed object. Who is going to manage? Spring IOC container, right? So now here we need to mention ID, bean ID. Bean ID should be unique name. Bean ID should be unique name. Let me take EMP bean. And we need to mention the class name. What is the class name? Setter.di dot package name dot. So what is the package name? Setter.di. I think I already mentioned here, right? So that there will be no mistakes. Here I mentioned Setter.di dot employee class name. So I just want to write one point here. Beans is the root tag. Close up the beans. You just close. So subtag is what? Bean. So it contains properties. Properties contains name and value. And it contains ID, class. What is ID? ID is nothing but ID means bean name must be unique. Class means package name dot class name and that class only, right? So we are ready with this file. I'm just showing you again. We created only 2 files. Employee.java. Please check this file again. And second one is application context.xml. Let's be ready with the last file and we'll run that file in the next class. Right click on Setter.di, go to new, choose class. The class name is client controller 1.java because we have been creating multiple controllers. So let's create client controller.java. Client controller.java. So this is the main method. Public static void main string args. So client controller. So total how many files we created? Let me write all the files that we created as of now. I want everyone to be ready with the total 3 files along with the project by the next class. Employee.java. Second one is client controller. Client controller 1.java. Under which package? Setter.di package. This is a package name. And create a new file called as resources. The XML file is application context.xml. So the project name is, let me mention project name also so that you will create the Spring Core project. So 322, let me just repeat what we have done so far. I just explained what topics we have in the CO1 as part of the session plan and as per the course handout. CO1 consisting of Maven and the second one is Hibernate. Maven contains, these are the concepts that you're seeing in the notepad. Hibernate contains architecture, core components, CRUD operations, HQL, HCQL, and Hibernate inheritance mapping, and the generated classes. Next, we started CO2. So what exactly started CO2 with? I discussed about what are the modules we have as part of the architecture. 4 modules: core, MVC, ORM, JDBC also there, but as part of the syllabus, we are covering ORM, Hibernate, AOP. Overview. What is Spring exactly? Spring is nothing but open source and lightweight. This was developed by Rod Johnson. It contains several modules. You can implement Spring with one module or combination of multiple modules or several modules. Spring is also called as framework of frameworks. Spring is also called as framework of frameworks. It follows loosely coupled. There are 2 types of architectures. One is tightly coupled, second one is what? Loosely coupled. Application contains some set of components or modules. If you want to make any change in one particular component, if it is going to affect other components, then it is called as tightly coupled. If it is not going to affect the other components, then it is called as what? Loosely coupled. So which one is best? Loosely coupled. Then I started a concept called as Spring Core module. Then I started a concept called as what? Spring Core module. Spring Core module. Then I started a concept called as Spring Core module. So Spring Core module. Spring Core module will be implemented by using 2 important features: dependency injection and inversion of control. What is dependency injection? Generally, people used to create new object by using new keyword. But now we are going to inject the data from outside. So transferring the task of creating object from outside is called as dependency injection. So who is going to inject the data? So injection means what? Here we are injecting the data. Okay. There are 2 ways: XML and annotation. Either people will create the objects using XML or people will create objects using annotations through Java class. Now, how to inject the data basically? 3 types. 3 types of dependency injection. One is setter DI, second one is constructor DI, and one is setter DI, second one is constructor DI, and third one is interface DI. Now, after discussion of these 3 dependency injections and all, I've asked you to create a new project. Project name is Spring Core project, 1 dependency. What is the 1 dependency? Spring context 5.3.39. So please include that in format XML and change 1.7 version to 1.8. 1.7 to 1.8. to 1.8. Right. Now, after creation of project, I discussed what are the 2 types of primitive data types: primitive and non-primitive. Primitive are integer, short, float, long, double, byte, boolean. Non-primitive: class, interface, object, string, collection. So then I discussed what is a bean. Then I discussed what is IOC container. IOC stands for inversion of control. So who is going to manage the bean is nothing but managed object. So who is going to manage all the objects? IOC container. IOC container is used to manage the life cycle of the objects. It will create, configure, wire. Wire is nothing but communication between multiple objects. 2 types of IOC containers: bean factory, application context. Then I've shown you how to create application context XML like this. everything I explained. Please, see the recording again. Same link you will see when you, if you have any doubts and all. So I want everyone to ready with setter DI package name, two classes, employee and client controller, resources, application context.xml file. Right. So if you're ready with this project and these files and all, we will demonstrate setter DI followed by constructor DI, and the next concept is auto wiring. So if we complete Spring Core modules, we can go to Spring Web along with the ORM. Okay, next week we'll complete this part also. So by next week we need to complete so that we can start what we call Spring Boot also. I want you to ready with this application Spring Core project by next class on Friday 11:10 a.m. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your support.